Why am I up here? Just for YouTube views? I should have climbed to the top of this tower. That's so stupid. Aloha nerds, and welcome back to the Salawag's Why It's Great Gut Reaction, where I watch things and react from the gut. Okay, so today I'm talking about the movie Fall, starring Grace Caroline Curry and Virginia Gardner. Directed by Scott Mann, written by Scott Mann and Jonathan Frank. This movie was fun. Okay, for those of you who don't know, I have been a filmmaker for over 15 years, and I like to react from the gut and really get technical about a lot of movies. I try to look at it from the filmmaker's point of view, and if you are a filmmaker or an aspiring filmmaker, what you should be looking for when you watch the movie. But also, per the podcast name, I might not do that. I might just say what I feel and just how I feel about the movie. So here's my delayed gut reaction because I watched it a few days ago. I really enjoyed Fall. For those of you who don't know, this is a film about two young women who are thrill seekers. They're rock climbers. They like to get their adrenaline pumping, and they choose to climb this rusty, abandoned tower that only has a light on it because it's there to help with navigation for aircraft. And you'd think that would be a setup for something. And what I really, and I'll just be honest, because up front, this movie has there's a relationship. You know, the main actress, Grace Caroline Curry. I can't even tell you her name because the whole time I just thought that's Miss Marvel from Shazam, and not Miss Marvel, but Mary Marvel. I guess that's her name. She's Mary in Shazam 1 and 2. So I'm just so stunned by the fact that Shazam is in this movie that I was just like, hey, cool. Hi, my favorite Shazam. And she's there with Virginia Gardner. Again, I'm just so distracted by the fact that that's the girl from Runaways. Virginia Gardner did a great job on Runaways. That was a great cast, really awesome show. James Marsters was in that, who we all know from Buffy and Angel and Smallville season 5. But anyway, here are these two actresses from sort of the peripheral of the Marvel and DC universes. They didn't play Wonder Woman and they didn't play, Spider Gwen, but they were still in those universes and did a fantastic job. And I was happy to see them working together on this movie. And even Jeffrey Dean Morgan, who was in BVS, never mind that he was Negan in Walking Dead, he plays Grace Caroline Curry's dad, or S'more Grace if you follow her on Instagram. And these guys are in the movie, and it's very much it's a classic horror movie, but without the classic horror elements. There's no slasher. There's a couple deaths, but there is no the elements that you would typically expect in a horror movie are not there, with the exception of Virginia Gardner's playing the typical blonde, kind of more sexually open and comfortable character, she's doing this climb as part of her podcasting, as part of her online, web personality that's making her money. And for Grace's character, she's just a fellow thrill seeker. She doesn't really want to be in the video, and she doesn't even necessarily really want to do this climb. Something in her instinct tells her not to do it. On top of that, and mini spoiler alert, the movie begins with these characters rock climbing with Grace's husband. I can't even tell that they're a husband and wife because nothing in the movie tells you that until later. But they're rock climbing and the husband dies. So this creates a context for Grace's character to be nervous, to be scared of doing this. And you know what? Honestly, the dialogue I thought really needed work. The dialogue really needed another pass for this entire film. Every time they spoke, I was just like, no acting can save this dialogue. This dialogue is just it's doing what it's supposed to do, but by God, please do a rewrite. Just one more rewrite, and I think you'll be there. Uh, it was just, but it was a movie that knew what it was. It knew it was a certain type of horror movie. That's the type of movie it was trying to be, and that's what it did. And but in all honesty, once we got past the first 35 minutes, and it's not even that bad. It's just for me, I'm like, God, this could be. I've seen this done before, written better. Okay, whatever. But once they started climbing the tower, and all the build up and the setup of how rusty the tower is, and you're seeing all the little details of screws moving and things like that, and you're wondering how exactly is this movie going to play out that gets these people stuck up there? Because I don't think I might have seen the trailer a long time ago, but I don't really remember. I saw this on streaming, so by the time I'm watching this movie, I really am just watching it like really not knowing how this is all going to play out. But once they start climbing that tower, I'm into the movie. Like the directing is really doing its job the way it should be doing it. You know, I could sit here and debate could this line be said differently with a different intention or all this, but it doesn't really matter because this is the type of movie that it is. So seriously, once they start climbing the tower, I'm feeling the movie. I'm enjoying the movie. I'm interested in the experience. Uh, and once they get stuck up the tower, that's when the movie gets really good. And it gets, I felt like the writing and directing really start lining up. You see, they really put their effort into making sure that what is 70% of the movie is really entertaining and worth watching. And without sort of spoiling anything, it's not a super scary movie. I did watch this with my sister and her boyfriend, and they were really, my nerd brother, my sister's boyfriend, was really getting panicked when they started climbing and they show the footage, and it really looks like they got high up footage looking down at this sort of desert little town and all this that's around the tower. They did a really great job on a technical level getting those shots and really making it feel like they are up that high. And whatever set they built, however they did that, wow. I really thought, man, on a technical level, you guys really nailed this. From a directing point of view, you got the shots that were really effectively engaging as an experience for this movie. Uh, so if you're looking so without spoiling anything any further, if you're kind of just looking for an interesting thrill ride, not necessarily super scary, but it's just a fun thrill, then I would definitely check out Fall. But that being said, I want to get into some spoilers here. So right up front, the movie's pretty obvious with what's going on. So spoiler alert. I'm talking spoilers. I'm talking about this movie. I'm talking about what happens. Right from the jump, when this movie starts, Grace and Virginia's name is Hunter. I don't remember Grace's name because again she was Mary Marvel in my head. Oh, you're Mary Shazam. You're Mary Shazam. It didn't matter to me what her real name was. I was just thinking you're Mary Shazam the whole time. But right from the beginning, they're climbing with another guy who's supposed to be Grace's husband, and you already can sense that there's a sexual attraction or something going on between the husband and Hunter, Virginia Gardner's character. Right from the top, it's very clear the way they look at each other and their little exchange. There's a sort of flirtation going on. And they're even after the husband dies, God, they keep cutting to this box called cremated remains. And like, okay, I get it. They're the cremated remains. Even after that, there's like a picture shown with, Virginia Gardner and the hand of a guy. That's always the clue of cheating. Oh, it's just for some reason I'm dating someone and I only see their hand. Um, well, I'm guilty. I've been there. Yeah, it's so obvious. Like, who else's hand could it be? There's only one other guy of your age who's been shown in this movie, and it doesn't seem like you guys socialize beyond that guy. So who else could it be? Uh, all of that is like pretty obvious up front, and even more egregious when they get up on the tower and they're stuck there. There's a situation where they know they had cell phone signal at the lower end of the tower, so they try to use Virginia Gardner's shoe and her sock, and she takes off her shoe and sock to protect the phone to sort of send a message, and if they drop it down, maybe the connection will happen fast enough that the message will go out. And when she takes off her shoe and her sock, a tattoo is revealed because something happens in a flashback where Grace and her husband are in bed together, and she says, "I love you," and he doesn't say anything, but he's tapping Morse code on her stomach, and it's the numbers of that create the letter ILY, I love you. And it's sort of a cute little setup, but those numbers are tattooed onto Virginia Gardner's foot, which to me indicates these two were together for quite some time. And they have this little dialogue. Like, again, when they get into dialogue that's more than a few lines, I'm really just like, wow, like, come on. And even more, this dialogue is oh, we were only together for 4 months, but I cut it off because we were only cheating on you for 4 months, but I cut it off because I loved you more. And you think there would just be more anger and animosity from Grace's character. There's just naturally it would be there, even if the guy's dead already. And this dialogue to me was just screaming to the audience, oh, don't hate her so much because it's kind of okay, right? And it was just like, no, it's not okay, even if it was just for 4 months. And to me, I also thought, that's bullshit. This was going on literally till this guy died. That is such bullshit. And if I'm Grace's character, I wouldn't believe it either, even if I'm dehydrated out of my mind. I'm like, this is bullshit. Screenwriting, trying to make the character more forgivable or whatever, and I'm just like, get out of here with that. Like, you guys, like, again, one more pass, because I would rather have had Grace really kind of get pissed and kind of want to push her off. Like, that would have been much more interesting. And even maybe try, but then kind of realize, no, I don't want to kill you. Just that the desire to do it we've just made them being on the tower much more interesting. If now you kind of want to kill each other just a little bit. That would have made that more interesting than just sort of glossing it over so that they didn't want to kill each other. So, I just felt like, you're kind of like, you're trying too hard to keep this character likable. And sometimes it's okay for that not to be the case. And honestly, just we stopped after 4 months because I loved you too much. Look, and I'm just gonna be honest here. When I was in my early 20s, uh, I was in an affair with a girl who was dating one of my friends. And that stuff, I mean, yeah, it also only lasted like I'm not even fully sure how long it lasted. I think it was like 3 or 4 months. I'm not, maybe 5. I'm not totally sure. But either way, wow, that's so long ago now. But either way, it was like I wasn't ready to just jump out because oh, well, I'm so good to my friend. No, if you're in it, you are in it, and you might get out. But just the fact that you're doing it is already so disrespectful to this other person, and especially if it's someone that you care about. Like it's so you've already crossed the line of trust for this other person, and you know it. You know if this comes out, that person should not want anything to do with you, really. And even I knew that. I was like, once this comes out, like this friendship's over. Like there's no trusting me after this. I don't trust me after this. And so just going through that for real, I'm just like, this dialogue makes no sense to me. And I'm like, and especially if you think you love that person, you're not gonna stop. You're not gonna stop if you feel that you're in love with this person. You're not gonna just stop because oh I love this other person more. That's not believable either. I mean, that's just such nonsense. It's such Hollywood nonsense. Um, and I actually I even confessed later on to the dude. I was like, this is what happened. But I also I did do, and this part is real. I did try to lessen the blow for myself and kind of put more of the blame on the girl than myself, saying, "Oh well, I've been through all this traumatic stuff, so I justified it, and but I did say if you want to punch me, I accept. You know what I mean? I literally laid it down, and he actually just forgave me. It was kind of incredible. I really was in disbelief. I was like, really? You forgive me? I even tried. I was like, I was a piece of shit, man. I was a piece of shit. Like, and I still feel that way. I still feel like a piece of shit for it. And so just because of that actual life experience of doing it, when I hear Virginia Gardner's lines, I'm like, wow, that's such bullshit. That is such bullshit. If you went through the trouble of getting the tattoo, I mean, like you literally marked your body. There was much more stuff going on there, and maybe there's subtext or supposed to be subtext of that. I don't know, but to me, I just thought it was such bullshit, and I just still feel there would be more coming out of Grace's character if that was to be the case, for how far and how dark she went and was going to go earlier in the movie. She's drinking and trying to take pills, and it's just like you would be angry. Like you would be angry. I just know it. And so for the movie not to play that anger, I just thought that was kind of false. You're kind of just like putting on airs, trying to make the other character more likable again. And the fact that neither one of you acknowledges this person was actually pretty shitty for cheating on both of you, really. First, cheating on your wife, who you married, and by staying with the wife and being with you, that's cheating on you, because he's not really being faithful to you in any form. You are being the side piece who just has to accept it. That's not acceptable for you. That's not a healthy thing for you to do. And to say that breaking it off with him is somehow showing more love, but you're still lying about it, and you're not really being a good person or a good friend. There's so many levels of what would really happen up here that's just not being acknowledged in this moment. And like I said, to me, it's being said so that the audience just feels more compassion for her. The audience who hasn't been through it feels more compassion for her. And that just really bugged me, because again, it's like if you're gonna be up there and if you're gonna set that up, you are setting up in the audience's mind a confrontation. To me, that should have been there. It should have been there. Of you fucking cheated on you, were messing around with my husband, like, you know, and that to me would have been just. It was a fantastic scene that should have been. You know, sometimes I think movies don't really require criticism. I think they are the movie that they are. And I think that's half of what this movie is. This movie is halfway is what it is, and that's why it is the way it is. But I think it's also at the same time halfway could have been so much better, because there was just a great opportunity for drama of if we had that little confrontation, and she kind of tried to push her, but then realized, oh no, her human heart, like this is still a person of value to me. This is still someone that I cared about for so long. Shit, I regret it. I'm not going to actually throw you off. I'm going to stop myself from doing this. Like that to me would have been a great opportunity for both storytelling and performance for both actors. And then it would just motivate the ending so much more. Because the movie then does get better again after this kind of bullshitty dialogue. Uh, where Ginny Gardner is even more motivated to use the rope and tools that they do have that they climbed up. I skipped over what happened. If you for some reason did not watch the movie for the spoiler section, when they climb to the top of the tower, the ladder breaks off and falls down, and so they have no way to get back down. That's what's happening. They're stuck at the top of the tower. So if you've chosen to watch through this and not watch the movie, okay. So here we go. But there's these satellite dishes below them, but it's 200 feet below them. It's a drop that's further than the rope that they have. So Virginia Gardner decides, now even more motivated now that the truth is out, to try and save her friend, and tries to get down. And she ends up getting stuck on the satellite. But she tries to pull her back up, and as far as the movie shows, she pulls her back. She hops back on the rope, and her friend pulls her back up. But what I love, okay, so even though I just complained about all that nonsense, even though I complained about all of that, the movie does something that I love, that completely forgives all mistakes. Because we spend like 45 minutes or so with these two doing everything they can to survive on the top of the tower. Literally, vultures start attacking them and everything. But in the last 20 minutes of the movie, or the last 15 minutes of the movie, all of a sudden, Grace comes up with this idea of, let's try one more time. I still have my cell phone. Let's try one more time to send the message. I think my cell phone's newer than yours. It might work. Let's try one more time to send this message out by dropping the shoe. And so she has already lost both of her shoes. But Virginia still has one more shoe. So she says, "Hey, just give me your other shoe." And Virginia says, "I can't. It's down there." And she's like, "What?" "It's still down there. Remember? I didn't come back up." And Grace is like, and she looks down and sees Virginia Gardner splattered like a bug and being eaten by a vulture on the satellite, where earlier when she had tried to do her little rescue mission, it actually didn't work out, and she fell and splattered across the satellite and did not fall from there. And it's just such a great moment. And the dialogue still goes a little too far after that, but up until like the fourth or fifth line, whatever dialogue, she starts being mean to Grace. I'm like, oh, shut the hell up now. But up until that moment where the dialogue pisses me off again, that dialogue and the performance and the moment, all of that, I just was like, I was knocked out. I was like, wow, you played with me. And I had a feeling they were going to do that. I was like, this movie is not really, hiding what it wants to do. But up until that moment, I really was hit by that reveal of, I can't give you my shoe. It's down there. Like, that was so great. I really loved that moment. It really made me feel better about whatever my gripes were about the movie. I'm like, that was cool. That's worth the price of admission. I always look for that moment. If a movie is not great, or even if it is good, but it could be better, whatever. But if there's a signature moment that is what I call the worth the price of admission moment, like Black Adam. Awful movie, really terrible movie. But every scene with The Rock in it was great. But the opening sequence of Black Adam, where he shows up and does all of his amazing destruction, I thought worth price of admission. But the rest of the movie, just forget it. Whereas Fall, like I said, I enjoyed everything on the tower as soon as they get to the tower. But that, I can't give you my shoe. It's still down there. If it's quotable and it's signature and it really hits you emotionally, like it's got to cross the threshold of technically it's got to be good, it's got to be well written, well shot, well performed, but it's also got to cross the emotional threshold and hit you emotionally. I can't give you my shoe. It's down there. That's the worth the price of admission moment. Where if the rest of the movie is crap, but this one moment, or even if the rest of the movie is just not bad, but if that one moment hits you like that and you just like can't let it go, that's the worth the price of admission. I came here, and no matter what I think about the rest of the movie, I'm so glad I saw that. That's that signature moment for me. So I really loved that moment. I thought, okay, guys, I'll watch your next movie. There are certain other filmmakers who I won't watch their movies because I can't get past the first 15 minutes. I try, and I can't get past the first 10 minutes. I'm sorry, I'm not watching the rest of your movie. I don't care. You have to have some sense of quality to what you do. And again, the beginning of this movie was good, and I just didn't like the dialogue. Other than the dialogue, I thought the filmmaking overall was good, serviceable. You know, serviceable. Not bad in any kind of way. It's doing the job it's supposed to be doing. It's just that it just feels like it's doing the job. I would rather just like to feel the movie. But like I said, everything with the tower for the most part really worked. But once we hit that moment, I was so glad I was watching the movie that I just forgave the dialogue that started to get kind of bad beyond that moment. Because then everything after that moment, when Grace is just by herself, I thought really worked. Even though she does get attacked by a vulture again, and I thought visually, technically, this is not fully working, but her performance of it is working. And then she eats the vulture, and then we get another worth the price of admission moment. You know what I mean? Because earlier it's set up that vultures are eating something that's still alive, and I knew it was going to be Virginia Gardner. It's not going to be the main character. Like, come on. Um, but when we see that moment, and again the dialogue, assholes. It's like, wow. I hate this generation. This is what vultures do. I don't even know what you're saying by saying dicks, assholes. Oh my god. Ugh, vulture is so inconsiderate. Like, this is the fucking real world, bro. What do you expect? It's not like the vulture went to school with you and graduated with you. And oh, can you believe how that vulture turned out? I mean, I always thought he was a problem bird, but now he's really a dick. Like, no, this is the law of the jungle out here. But some acknowledgement of that would have been cool. Like, I would have liked some kind of acknowledgement. Like, really, you're like emotionally judging the bird who lives out in the middle of nowhere, and this is how it survives. Wow, wow, you freaking kids, you freaking children. Anyway, but like I said, when she eats the vulture, that's another price of admission moment, because I kind of thought it might happen, but I was just like, they're not going to do that. That's not the type of movie this is. And then she eats that vulture. I was like, wow, wow, okay, you went there. You went there. And that gives her enough energy to get to the end of the movie where she tries what Jenny Gardner tried and gets down onto the satellite. And then it gets even better where she takes the shoe and puts the cell phone in the shoe and then puts the shoe into Virginia Gardner's open wound. But when she put that shoe into Virginia Gardner's open wound on her stomach or her rib or whatever and shoved that in there and then shoved her body off, I was like, yes, this is the anger. Or actually, I was expecting you to want to do this earlier, which would have, I knew this was coming, would have set this moment up so much better, where it's like you're kind of getting a little bit of your revenge, but you're also not doing it for revenge. Uh, I think it would have hit even harder if she had wanted to shove her off the the tower earlier. I think it would have really hit harder. I think they avoided it because they did not want to set up it happening. But again, to me, this movie is so blatantly obvious about what kind of movie it was. I don't think you need to worry about that. I think it's more important the emotional journey of the character than whether the setups are obvious or not. It's more important that you see the character go through the journey of wanting and not wanting things than worrying about, oh, will the audience see that coming? You know, the minute you have the body on the satellite in the first place, you are just telling the audience that it's gonna fall off again. You know what I mean? To me, it's like, come on, like. But anyway, like I said, that you know, once the shoe came off, or once she couldn't get the shoe, and then she bit the vulture, I was just forgiving this movie for everything it didn't do that to my liking. Because I was just like, no, you still went there. You gave me two worth the price of admission moments, one after the other, and I was just so pleased. Like I said, everything on the tower I did enjoy on the most part. I thought it felt natural, it felt believable, it felt real for what the characters were supposed to be, and I was happy with it. But then you gave me those moments. From there, my criticisms were very light because now I feel like the movie's being what it should be. And then she pushes Jenny Gardner's body off the satellite. But one moment before she does that, when she does come down on the rope and hops down, there's a vulture still going at Virginia Gardner's body, and the look Grace has at it, she looks like a wild feral animal. But the footage they're showing of the vulture just literally looks like it's just sitting there looking. I do wish they had just edited it so it just kind of freaks out and flies away, as opposed to trying to edit it to make the vulture have a performance. I really felt like you gotta at least do a digital zoom in or something, because that vulture literally looks like it just has no idea what's going on. Like I get what you're trying to do with the editing and the shooting here, but just on a technical level, there's some muddy parts to this movie that I really wish they had worked on more, and maybe they just couldn't. Maybe they just didn't have the time, and that's totally fine. Again, the movie is what it is. It's not trying to present itself as fine art, but it still could have been better in these incremental ways throughout that would have really helped the movie just be a better experience and picture overall. But like I said, the ending, like everything up to the actual end of this movie, I think is so worth the price of admission, worth watching it all the way through, because when you get to those moments, it is like, yeah, yeah. So maybe this is for the beginning. This movie has some scenes at the end. Fall, starring Grace Caroline Curry and Virginia Gardner, has some scenes that are worth the price of admission. Forget the fact that it's not in theaters anymore. Some shit happens at the end of this movie that is worth watching to the end for. So, boom. Okay, we'll see if I edit that. But yeah, so just the fact that they did those things, and when she pushes her off the body, I'm like, yes. And this is where the character gets what they want, but they not in the way they wanted it. So, that would have been so much more emotionally impactful if she had wanted to push her off earlier when the reveal about the tattoo happened. If she had literally had a moment of conflict with Virginia Gardner and wanted it, that, because I knew this moment was coming one way or the other. But if she had really wanted her to go off the tower out of anger and emotion, but then calmed herself down, or just because she is a human being and she does care about her friend, is like, no, I don't really want that. Like, I want it, but I don't want it. That little inner conflict would have really made her pushing, finally doing the push, so much more emotionally effective. Like, it would have really had an emotional impact. I was like, she's doing it, but she doesn't want to. And you could get that conflict out of her where she doesn't want to do it, but she has to do it. Like she wanted to do it, but now she doesn't want to do it, but she has to do it. Like that emotional journey is that's the stuff that's really good storytelling. That's what I call storytelling through performance. Like, even if you're writing the emotions that that character is going through, because they're going through a journey. And that journey, to me, if you had put that in this movie, would have made it an even better movie. So, with that being said, I did think this was an entertaining film overall. I'm definitely giving it an entertainment aloha hand. I'm giving it a halvesies good filmmaking aloha hand. It is, if overall effective filmmaking, but could have been better. Could have been better in some key areas like the dialogue and the specific emotional journey relating to the reveal of the affair. I think if the dialogue had been hashed out, that would have been one way that would have made it better. But specifically, if the affair and the setup and payoff of pushing Virginia Gardner off that satellite, if that had been more reinforced by the character wanting to do it, you 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 had sex with my husband. I want to push you off. Oh no, wait, but you're my friend still. Fuck no, I don't want to push you off. To feel the push and pull of that, I think would have made this a really solid film. It really would have made it a lot better, and not trying to make Virginia so forgivable and nice, which is just such bullshit. I mean, when you hear that shit in real life, you don't believe it either. So why is it going to be believable in a movie? You know, if this movie had not tried to bullshit, and if it really emphasized that character journey, I think they were focusing, to me, on the technical aspect of the audience knowing things coming and all that stuff. I think you got to forget all that. Like, you know, the Dark Knight sets up Harvey Dent being going to the dark side several times, and the tragedy is that he just does. So it's not, and we literally know that his name is going to be Two Face. So it's not a surprise that he becomes Two Face. Uh, so surprises don't matter as much as the character journey. So I just hope that, you know, when these, whatever these guys make next, they just remember that. Like, don't bullshit. Like just be real. Just stay real. If you're gonna go to real places emotionally, you gotta just be real. And if you have the possibility of that emotional journey, just go for it. Don't worry about the character being more likable, because it's not about the side character. It's about the main character. It's about the main character having that journey and having the best possible journey, because that's what the audience is going to leave with at the end of the day. They're gonna, you know, you're so worried about the setup or payoff of the body going off, of being pushed off. That's not even the thing. What matters is what got the character to that point. So I just hope, remember that next time. You know, the characters don't have to be perfectly likable. They can start out likable and become unlikable. And I don't think it would have made the hero unlikable either. I really think, stick to your guns. Just make the story the right way. And don't worry about surprises. You know, surprises don't mean anything if the emotional investment is not there. But this is the advice coming from someone who has not made a feature film, and is just sitting in his bedroom podcasting. So take that for what you want. But anyway, like I said, definitely entertaining. Definitely has two worth of price of admission moments. And overall good filmmaking. We're giving this the semi aloha here for overall good filmmaking. That's really, it's always how I've ranked these movies in my podcast, but that's I'm finally giving it a ranking system, because I realize, how the hell else are we gonna come out of this? What are you looking for? You just want to know, what exactly is this person thinking, and that's what I'm thinking. This. Yeah, you're cool, brother. Could have been better, but you did this. You did this good, brother. And I am Hawaiian. So anyway, thank you for watching. If you would like more reviews, I do written reviews on Instagram. Just follow #TheSalawag's Gut Reaction on Instagram, or follow at MJS Presents, and you'll see I do post, for the most part, every week, or at least every other week, whatever I've been watching that I think you should check out. Even the fall might be a written reaction by the time this video comes out. Whichever way it goes, thank you very much for watching. Remember, don't like, don't subscribe, and don't comment. Am I talking about my stuff? That's up to you. Take it easy, and aloha. Thank you for watching. Huh? Huh? I was trying to climb down. I was trying to climb down.